throw.
Let's look at that 49er offense. The offensive line: Deese Brown, Lee, Eric Johnson, the tight end from Yale, and J.J. Stokes. Johnson, they got in the 7th round of the draft, and they like him very much. Jeff Garcia is the quarterback. Hit behind the line, fights his way back to the line of scrimmage. Let's look at the Ram defense. The front four: Wistrom, after missing the first game with an injury; Skanina, Young, and Chidi Ahamatou. 3 linebackers: Fields, Fletcher in the middle, and Don Davis. And the secondary: McLean, Herring, Archuleta, Aeneas Williams. Third, looks like about 6. Garcia. Stokes might have lunged for enough for a first.
I think he did. I think he didn't. I mean, the punt team's running in. It looked like he did, and then you can see that the 49ers are bringing in their punt team. One of the things that the Ram defense is going to do today is they're taking their best defensive back, Aeneas Williams, and he is going to shadow Terrell Owens. So that's going to be one of the big matchups. So far, they haven't gone to Terrell Owens.
Jason Baker back to punt. And Oz Hakeem back deep for the Rams. He brought one back against the Eagles in the first game. Hakeem gets a good bounce and gets a good return down to the 49er 41. Bad kick. Ugly, as John said. Again, down to Ron Pitts.
Well, Pat, we've talked about the difficulty that the players may have in playing today, but a lot of difficulty is being had by the coaches. Remember, they had to come up with some kind of game plan in a very short time here in the midst of all the tragedy the country's been going through. And the players have said that they've changed it 3 or 4 times just to get it right for today's game. And before I throw it back to you, Pat, I want to make sure I say hello to 2 very important people, my sons Lee and Shea Elijah Pitts. Hello, guys.
All right, Ron. Ricky Pro made the catch from Kurt Warner. And we'll set this Ram offense in a moment. He lately, the last couple of years, Kurt Warner has been about as good as they get.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot when you just talk about his ability to put the ball where he wants to. He reminds me a lot of Joe Montana.
That's a pretty good recommendation. Marshall Faulk. And that'll be a Ram first down, but there's a flag on the play.
And you can tell why Marshall Faulk is the MVP of the league. That every defense, when you talk about what you have to do, the first guy they mention when they play the Rams is Marshall Faulk. That they have to stop Marshall Faulk, but that's so tough because he lines up all over the place.
The referee is Bill Levy. And by the way, these are all regular officials. The replacements were with us last week. By and large, I think they did a good job, but it's nice to have these guys back.
Pass interference. Number 88, offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second out.
Torrey Holt.
Most of the time you're always thinking of, you're just going to see him in the right corner here. You're always thinking that it's going to be a defensive guy when you see pass interference. But that was against Torrey Holt, and what it was for is he was blocking downfield while the ball was in the air.
There was a takedown downfield. This is Ernie Conwell in motion. Pass across to Torrey Holt.
What they did on that play, Pat, is they had the 2 backs. Trunk Candidate is the backup to Marshall Faulk. And one of the things that Mike Martz is trying to do with the Rams is to get both Trunk Candidate and Marshall Faulk in the game at the same time, and they just had him in there on that play.
They tried to utilize that combination 2 weeks ago against the Eagles. Not with a lot of success.
I remember some guy wrote about it in the paper. Mike Martz got all upset when he was giving away his game plan. But the Rams really present a lot of problems. I mean, just the way they shift in motion and just move around before the snap.
Warner. Torrey Holt again, and he had enough for a first down at one time.
Mike Martz was the offensive coordinator before becoming the head coach of this team. And, you know, you talk about the line being together. This whole offense has really been together, and I think probably longer than any other offense in the league.
This looked like a blown play to me. Let's look at the 49er defense. Young, yes. Carter Stubblefield, who's been around a while, so is Brian Young and John Engelberger up front. Carter was a first-round draft choice. Ulbrich, Derek Smith in the middle, a free agent. Acquisition, Terry Killen. And the secondary, Young also, Webster, Bronson, Schulters, and Ahmed Plummer. Falk. Inside the 25.
Yeah, we talk about, you know, what teams say they have to do. There's a flag on that play also. But the thing that the Rams say they have to do is be able to block those two defensive tackles. You know, Bryant Young and Dana Stubblefield, and handle that middle. And you looked at that play, they just ran right there. They ran right at the strength of the 49er defense, and that guy is Bryant Young.
He's the guy you better account for in the 49er defensive setup.
Yeah, and he feels comfortable having Dana Stubblefield back there. I think both of them played better when they played together here. And then Dana Stubblefield was here, then he went to the Washington Redskins and then came back. But I think that Bryant Young was a better player when Dana Stubblefield was here, and Dana Stubblefield was a better player.
Number 88, offense.
Right back block called against Torrey Holt.
Repeat second down.
So you're going to see him come in right here. And what, I don't know, that's the second time so far that they've gotten Torrey Holt for blocking. One of the things the Rams receivers do is they are good blockers, but you can't block below the waist. Because the first time they got him for blocking while on a pass while the ball was in the air, that one, of course, was a run, and he was downfield blocking, but he was blocking below the waist.
2nd and 19 situation. The Rams have won 4 in a row against these 49ers, while the 49ers have been rebuilding. Here's Falk from Warner. And Marshall Falk gets it down to about the 26.
Yeah, that was
not enough for a first down.
I was just saying that was a screen pass, and we were talking to Mike Martz last night about screen passes, and he said, I'll show you how many screen passes we have. And we had 16 of them. But here, this one's going to be to Marshall Falk. You see, they have the strength to the left, and they come back to the right. Now, on a screen pass, you let the defensive lineman come up, then you bring your offensive lineman down the line, and they get in front of the pass receiver. You see, Falk comes out here, and then he gets right behind those offensive linemen. He's not looking at his offensive line or that first line of defense. He's always looking at that second line of defense.
That was well executed. Here's Warner back to throw it. Zips it outside to Bruce. Miscommunication between the two, and we'll see Wilkins.
It was Anthony Parker, number 21, that was on the coverage. He had pretty good coverage there, and I think that he made Kurt Warner throw it in a place where Parker couldn't get it, and in doing so, he also threw it in a place where Isaac Bruce couldn't get it.
Wilkins looked like about, what, 44 yards out?
I remember Wilkins when he kicked here, so
yeah,
he is a guy that does know this environment.
Ricky Prohl is the holder. And Wilkins is right down the pipe with a lot of room at the end of that one. And it's 3-0 St. Louis. 3 consecutive field goals. Martz over on the sideline, upset about something.
Yeah, I bet it's that Torrey Holt block. You know, Torrey Holt was called for 2 illegal blocks.
Sutherland will bring this one out to about the 20. .8:49 left in the first, and the Rams lead the 49ers 3-0. Nothing Rams over the 49ers. First and 10, 49ers at their own 19. Garcia drops behind J.J. Stokes. Early game news and notes. Emmitt Smith of the Cowboys passed Barry Sanders and into second place at the all-time rushing leaders. Robert Griffith, the fine safety man for Minnesota, out for the season, likely with a broken leg. Peyton Manning, 4 touchdown passes and got another one running. Kevin Barlow.
There's Aeneas Williams over there in the sideline, Pat. We were talking about how he was going to shadow Terrell Owens, and they did an interesting thing 2 plays ago. They had him shadow Terrell Owens and then just stop and come on a blitz to Jeff Garcia. So it's not that he's just going to be there all the time. He's going to cover him sometime. If Terrell Owens goes in motion, if it's man coverage, he'll run with him. If it's zone coverage, he'll just stay in a zone. So we've seen him run with him. We've seen him match up, and we've also seen him blitz.
This time he follows him. Owens is in the slot. Incomplete. Intended for Stokes again. And the 49ers will be forced to punt.
And that's one of the reasons that guys like J.J. Stokes has to make plays. And guys like Eric Johnson, tight ends, have to make plays, because what the Ram defense is going to do is they're going to take away Terrell Owens, or try to. The last game that they played, Terrell Owens caught 8 passes for 115 yards and scored 2 touchdowns against him. So they say that's the way they got to it. They're not going to get to him that way this game.
Baker to punt. His last punt was 8 yards. Or 20 yards. Oz Hakeem brought it back 8. This is not another good punt. Flag on the play. Baker's got to get the ball drop or something straightened out. Holding against the 49ers. That's a 33-yard punt. The first one was 20 yards. That won't hold up in the NFL.
I'm sure the Rams are going to take the ball right here.
Holding. Number 38. Team. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
They're bringing it back.
The Rams want him to kick it again.
Well, based on his record so far.
I know, but the kick was so bad. He got the ball midfield. You usually say take it, but he's kicking so ugly that they said maybe there's one more ugly in that batch.
Well, he's got a little wind against him, but not that much. Oz Hakeem stands back at midfield now.
Jason Baker was with the Philadelphia Eagles. He started the season with the Eagles at training camp, was waived as a free agent, and was waived and was picked up by the 49ers just before their preseason game with Denver.
Many more kicks like that, and he'll get another wave. This one's better.
There's no coverage, though.
Nope. Out of bounds, close to midfield, where the Rams again will take over with just half the field to conquer. San Francisco, 7:41 left in the first quarter. The Rams leading 3-0, and they take over at midfield, 1st and 10. Warner. Empty backfield. Intended for Isaac Bruce. Batted away at the last instant.
Remember in the first game against the Philadelphia Eagles, in the 4th quarter, Kurt Warner got his thumb caught up on a defender, and he hurt his right thumb, in his passing hand. We saw him last night, and he had it all taped up, and he had quite a bit of swelling in there, and the swelling was kind of underneath the thumb, and He said what it bothers is his grip. And he says he thinks that his accuracy is pretty good. He can throw the short pass and the medium pass, and if he has any trouble, it's gripping to really throw the deep one or the hard pass.
2nd and 10. Conwell in motion. Warner. Torrey Holt picked up a couple.
You know, we were watching him in the pregame because, again, last night he did have it all taped up. We watched him in the pregame. He didn't have it taped up.
And he doesn't now.
No, and he showed us just before the game what it looked like.
For the most part. Still a little bit bigger than the other one, but not much. It's pretty good.
A little bit bigger than the other one, which goes along with what you said, is swollen.
But he's just one of those guys that ignores things like that.
Here he is again, and he's going to take off with it. Got a first down, slides to the 30. 31 make it.
See, that's the thing. Kurt Warner is not known as a runner, so that will let your defensive tackles, and we're talking about Brian Young, Dana Stubblefield, that'll let them go on pass rush and stunts and stuff, and a lot of times they just leave that wide open. Now, if the quarterback were a running quarterback or known to do that, they always kind of protect that middle. If they don't think the guy's going to run it all, they just put their ears back and go, and then they'll still get burned by a Kurt Warner.
The Marshall Falk. A yard, maybe. Derek Smith was the first to hit him.
Yeah, I like Andy McCullum, the center. I mean, probably with this Ram team, the offensive line probably doesn't get mentioned enough. Watch Andy McCullum here, the way he fires out. I mean, he comes out of there like he's fired out of there where he could get on that linebacker right now. Of course, he didn't stay with the block, but you want everyone to get off on the ball at the same time. The center should be the first guy to get off on the ball because he's the guy snapping it. And he was the first guy.
Warner back to throw. Got a man wide open. That's Ernie Conwell. And Conwell fighting inside the 5 to about the 1 yard line. And here comes a flag flying.
We were talking last night again to Mike Martz, and he was talking about Ernie Conwell as tight end who's had some injuries in his back this year, and he really likes him. I mean, he's a leader. And you can see that it's going to be against the Rams here, but he said he may be the strongest guy in the team. And if you saw the 49ers try and tackle him.
Number 80. Offense. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run.
Isaac Bruce called for the penalty.
You're going to see Ernie Conwell come here, and just watch. He's wide open, as you said, Pat. But watch after he catches the ball. Someone comes up here and tries to tackle him. That is the strength that we're talking about.
Yep.
And here's the penalty. Again, number 80 is Isaac Bruce. And you can see that was the block in the back. I used to always have that rule when I was coaching. If you can read their name, don't block them. Isaac Bruce in that position could have read the name, and he shouldn't have blocked him.
They move it back to the 12-yard line. First down. Warner drops. Wide open again. This is Isaac Bruce. Bruce down to about the 3. They seem to always get somebody wide open.
But, you know, they have so many guys going out. I mean, you know, we see Conwell. He's the tight end. We see Marshall Falk. He's a back. We see Isaac Bruce. We see Torrey Holt. They just come from all different positions and locations. And I'll tell you this thing, just from watching the Rams the last 3 years, the thing that always, they have great speed. I mean, they not only put guys out there and they come from here and come from here and come from here, but they all do it very quickly, and then they run fast.
And Kurt Warner likes to operate at a very quick pace himself. Falk fights to just about the half-yard line. Derek Smith made the stop.
You know, if you look at Marshall Falk, sometimes you say, where does his strength come from? You look at his upper body. I mean, he doesn't look like a big guy in his upper body. Then you look at his lower body, and you see the legs, the size of the legs, and you realize that's where his strength and his power comes from. Because he is a strong, powerful guy.
He really is, and he doesn't appear to be.
Yeah, but look at, look from the waist down,
yep.
And that is power.
The fault again. I don't think he quite got in. Like about a half-yard out.
One thing they think that they can get in there, Andre Carter, the rookie defensive lineman for the 49ers, is right now he's a little undersized. So when people start running at him, they want to run at him 96, and they think that that's the place to go. You know, that you can get a push over there, and they did get a little push. You can see Carter ends up back in the end zone, so he got pushed all the way back, but the other guys come in and made the play.
You also got Orlando Pace over there, the best of the Ram offensive linemen.
One of the best offensive linemen in all of football.
Warner. Touchdown to Jeff Robinson. He seems to always appear for.
Always. He was a guy who started out in this league as a defensive lineman. And he became the old snapper. Yep. And then they put him in as a second tight end just to block. And it seems like, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, he will make a big play in the passing game. Again, you think of all the guys that you have to watch. Who's going to watch old number 45, Robinson? That's the question. And the answer is no one.
They watch him score a touchdown. Wilkins for the extra point. Fumbled by Ricky Prohl, who throws it and knocked down. Ricky Prohl's first pass attempt this year. Incomplete.
First pass attempt this year. He didn't look like Warner, did he?
No, he didn't. 9-0 St. Louis. It's over the 49ers. This used to be one of the most intense rivalries in the NFL when the Rams were in Los Angeles and traveled up the coast.
There was a long time in that rivalry that the 49ers dominated.
Yes.
I think they won like 17 straight.
That's exactly right. 17 in a row. Sutherland. Rams 9. 49ers nothing. Jeff Robinson scored a touchdown. Ends with America's #1 pregame show as J.B. Terry, Howard, and Chris get you ready for kickoff. And Warren Sapp and the dominating Buck defense trying to stop Randy Moss and the potent Viking offense in an NFC Central showdown. Well, the Falcons battle the Cardinals. Garcia throws to Hurst. I don't know if we can still say that potent Viking offense, do you?
No, they don't look potent thus far. Hurst caught that pass, and Chidi Ahanatu, who's a left defensive end, came in and really leveled him. That's one thing about this Ram defense. I mean, Lovie Smith has come in as a new defensive coordinator. I don't know if the players are a lot better or not, but I know two things. They play a lot faster and a lot harder than the Ram defense did in the past. These guys go after him. There was a defensive end downfield making a tackle on a pass completion.
Empty backfield. Garcia drops. Wheels outside. Pass complete for a loss. Justin Swift made the catch.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those things for none yards.
Barry Bonds homered again today. His 65th. Against San Diego.
Well, that's something, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, at some point, I mean, you have to pitch to him. I guess you have to play baseball. But like one game, last week, you got 3 or 4 or something,
yeah.
3 in one game. You'd think after a couple,
I wouldn't pitch to him.
You would or you wouldn't?
Would not.
No, I wouldn't either.
You get the heat from the sports writers, but this is Ty Streets. That might be a 49er first down if there's no flag.
Well, they threw a none-yard pass, and then they threw a pass for a first down. Ty Streets is a third wide receiver for this team, and just watching him run the other day, he had a bad hamstring.
Yeah.
He had a bad Achilles. He broke his leg last year and has a rod in his leg. And, I mean, he kind of limps a little as he runs. And you think, how in the heck can...
He should be out the pasture. He should be in the pasture somewhere.
But he has deceptive speed. Yeah. I mean, he gets down there and gets open.
Hurst to the 45. There's another remarkable story. You talk about rods and ankles and legs and stuff like that. Garrison Hurst They thought he'd never play again after he hurt his knee 2 years ago.
Right, and to get to this position, he's had 4 surgeries since then. Remember, 3 years ago, he had a heck of a year, gained over 1,000 yards.
That's the end of the first quarter with the score: the Rams 9, the 49ers nothing. Fox NFL Sunday from San Francisco will continue after these messages. Hurst picked up a couple, brought down by London Fletcher.
The 49ers really haven't gotten much of a running game, and I don't know that they're going to. I mean, look at their offensive line, and it's not a run-blocking offensive line, and Garrison Hurst is, as great as it is to see him back, isn't what Garrison Hurst used to be or what Charlie Garner was the last couple of years. So that puts it all in their passing game. Then they have to get the ball up the field. I mean, they've completed 5 passes so far, but the longest one has only been 6 yards.
3rd and 4. Here's Owens. Juggled it, and the Rams picked it off. Mark Fields has it. Owens had it in the basket, and it was jarred loose, or he just lost it.
I think he just lost it. He's going to run a slant. You're going to see him here. He's going to come in a slant up and then in here, and the ball is right there. You see, it's a little thrown. It's thrown a little behind him. He had to reach back a little, and I think it went through his hands, hit his hips, and there was Mark Fields, number 55, right there to pick it off. You see where he had to reach behind a little?
29-yard return by Fields after the interception, and the Rams are in business again.
And we do know this about Terrell Owens. He's going to draw a crowd today, because when you talk about the Ram defense, they felt the #1 guy that they have to stop is Terrell Owens.
Here's when Kurt Warner likes to go for a bundle. Back to Falk. Not for a bundle this time, unless Falk makes it a bundle himself. And he can do that down to the 10. Flag on the play.
You see how patient he was? He had his right guard, Adam Timmerman, out there. Made a heck of a block.
This against the Rams.
And that's probably for another wide receiver blocking, because Timmerman was a lead blocker, number 62, the right guard.
He was
I don't think the penalty was on him.
Illegal block in the back. Number 81 offense. During the run, 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
It's against Oz Hakeem.
Now, here's where Marshall Falk has his patience. He just waits for Timmerman right there to make that block, and then he cuts right off it. Now, the penalty was on number 81, Oz Hakeem. And to see him in the picture there, you didn't see him blocking. You're going to see him right here. And again, that was a block from behind.
Yep.
If you can read his name, don't block him. That's what, the 3rd or the 4th penalty on the Rams wide receivers today in blocking.
3rd at least. Here's Warner back to throw. Incomplete, intended for Oz Hakeem.
I think it's 4, because I think Torrey Holt has had 2.
For Torrey Holt
Isaac
had 2.
Bruce had 1.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Oz Hakeem got 1. So that's
exactly
4th. And one of the things the coach are always teaching those guys, if we're allowed to run after the catch, or rack is by wide receivers making blocks. Then you go and you get them hustling, but again, you can't hit them in the back. I mean, you got to hustle, you got to make those blocks, but if they're not in position, don't do it.
You don't want them to back off, though.
No.
To the 22, Derek Smith again on the stop.
Yeah, we have two of the biggest rack players in this game, in Terrell Owens and Marshall Falk. Like 141 yards a game last season. That was most in the NFL. And Marshall Falk, if you look here, was the 2nd in the NFL, and Terrell Owens was number 4 in rack or run after the catch. We have 2 of the best players in the NFL, or last year's best players in the NFL, on catching the ball and then making more yards after they get it.
I think it applies this year, too. I think Marshall Falk was in motion then. Here's Warner. Incomplete. Broken up, intended for Torrey Holt. Anthony Parker got a hand in there.
Anthony Parker's made a couple of plays today, and that's their nickel defense. When Anthony Parker's in there, he's their 3rd corner. And usually when you get a nickel situation, the guys that you work on are the third or fourth corner.
So Jeff Wilkins against the wind this time. This might be one of the toughest places to kick because of that wind. Doesn't seem to bother Jeff Wilkins, however. That's 24 in a row. That one's from 40 yards. 24th consecutive field goal. Vinny Sutherland back deep, takes it at about the 3. Good job by the Rams special teams. He's down at about the 23.
You know, on a field goal block, you want to get pressure up the middle. Now, here's John Milam. Now, sometimes you get your own, you know, with what you bring, and sometimes you get a friend like O'Keefer to help you. He just puts both hands in his back pockets. when the ball snaps, he just pushes him. Then Milam has to get the penetration and get his hands up. I guess that's legal. You know, the thing that you can't do is use your hand and then jump up on the guy to block a field goal. But if you just want to give him an extra, you know, extra few rocks in his pockets, I guess you can do that.
Barlow is the ball carrier, and he gets good yardage at about the 35.
We talked about the 49ers, and they just haven't thrown the ball deep. If you look at, Jeff Garcia hasn't thrown one pass over 15 yards. To the left he's 1 for 3, in the middle for no yards. In the middle he's 3 for 3 and 15 yards, 1 for 2 to the right. So most of his passes have been short and in the middle that he's been successful with. And of course that's not going to be enough, and that's why you're behind 12-0.
Barlow got the first down for San Francisco. They had a measure.
They kind of like Barlow. I think
they do.
You know, that Garrison Hurst is the starter, but Kevin Barlow is a rookie that they've liked all during training camp, and I think want to get in the game and get in the flow of the game more and more.
Garcia back. Outside to Justin Swift, the tight end, the backup tight end right now for a game break. Let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat, James Thrash had only 1 catch last week. Make that 2 weeks ago for the Eagles. Here's a big one today. A 64-yard pass play from Donovan McNabb. Eagles on top 10-0. Seattle minus 11 passing yards. That in the second. Back to Pat and John.
I'll tell you, that Philadelphia is a good team.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were beaten that first week by the Rams, but they gave them all they wanted that day.
That's a very good quarterback. Donovan McNabb. Here's the draw play. That's Garrison Hurst. Past the 40 up to about the 43.
I'm surprised that the 49er defense really hasn't blitzed more against the Ram offense, because when we were talking to Mike Martz, he was saying that they had 16 last week, or 2 weeks ago it is now, but the Eagles blitzed them with defensive backs 16 times. He says that has to be an NFL record.
So they thought that the 49ers would at least try to blitz.
No, and the 49ers haven't. The 49ers have been playing them a little softer, and the thing that's kept the score just to 12 is those penalties they've had.
Barlow trying to get that first down, might have just gotten it.
Well, he tried to ram it in there, but his ram kind of got rammed back after he rammed it in.
Well, he rammed enough for a first down.
It was enough. He got that initial surge. I mean, he did do that. He came in there and just plowed into that line. There was no looking or head up or trying to cut back or anything. Watch Barlow. I mean, he's just going to come flying in there. He gets a lead. He just puts his head down, shoulders down, gets behind him, and he's in the middle of that pile somewhere.
Barlow goes 238, so he can ram him back. That's the right guy. Owens makes the catch, steps away from one tackler. Mark Fields knocked him out of bounds.
That's where Owens is so good. Is stepping away from one tackle. I think, I think he's the biggest, strongest looking wide receiver that I've ever seen. I mean, his upper body, I know his upper body is really something. We just watch him run on that cross here, and that's darn near impossible to catch. I mean, to cover, because at some point as you go across and through the defense, you're going to be open. So it's just a quarterback to get the ball to you at that time.
Aeneas Williams comes out in front of him. Garcia wound up with the ball unsuccessfully.
That's the thing. The 49ers, it's going to be tough when you can't run the ball. That's the thing. I mean, you have to have that. We talked about 3 years ago where they had Garrison Hurst, and then where they had Charlie Garner and so on. But now they don't have that. So a heck of a lot of it relies and goes on the shoulders of Jeff Garcia.
He drops to throw it. And he's got to take off with it. And dive for a first down. Garcia looks like he doesn't belong out there.
No, he doesn't. But one thing, he has jumpy feet. And one thing about those jumpy feet, they're always ready to run. Watch how he's jumping around and moving around. And any time that he can find a hole and see something, he's going to go and get it. And that's the first time today that the 49ers have been beyond midfield.
12-0 lead for the Rams. 49ers at the Ram 42.
We talked about Aeneas Williams and the thing that they want where he's going to line up on Terrell Owens. Now he lined up, and sometimes he'll play man. Here he's just playing zone, and then he tries to break out with him and cover him and stay in front of him when he comes in his zone.
There's Barlow again. Barlow leans across the 40 to about the 36.
But what Aeneas Williams was trying to do on that last play is to take away that inside, whether it be a slant or a cross. Because that's the place that he's so dangerous, is coming in or going across the field. And the 49ers think that the weakness of this Ram defense, because they play so much cover 2, is in the middle of the field. Either the tight end getting in the middle of the field or Terrell Owens getting in the middle of the field.
Garcia goes down. The outside pressure from Grant Wistrom, who didn't play against the Eagles 2 weeks ago.
He's anxious to get back. He's had a knee injury, missed a lot of training camp, but he still has that quickness. I mean, he can still run. And you look at him, he's just coming from up here. He comes on a stunt. He goes to the outside of Derek Deese, and then his tackle works out, and he comes underneath him. Here we see Aeneas Williams out here on Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens did have a little window in there to catch the ball for a split second. But again, we saw Grant Wistrom right there on Jeff Garcia.
Garcia had no time to open the window. This time he does. Pass is incomplete, intended for Stokes. Flew right by him. Archuleta had it bounce off him.
That's something you don't see a lot of in the 49er offense over the years, is shotgun. Jeff Garcia was in the shotgun, and he throws a pretty good pass here. I mean, then it just goes over his head, and Archuleta's a pretty bad pass. I mean, but Archuleta, when you get a chance, Archuleta's an old linebacker. When you get a chance like that, that has to be an interception.
Rams put the heat on. Baker signals punt, that we might have roughing the kicker here. There's a flag back in the secondary. Or back behind the San Francisco offense. Rich Cody, I think, might have been too aggressive.
But if it's only a 5-yard penalty, it won't be a first down.
That's what he's saying.
Remember, it used to be automatic first down. It used to be roughing the kicker. Now they have 2 varieties. If it's a 5-yard variety, they were about 4th and 8 or 9. So it's still going to be 4th down.
Would you kick again?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you're right at the about the 35-yard. It would be about a 52 or 53-yard field goal.
Eagles would have the ball at the 9, their own 9.
Running into the kickers.
Running into the kicker.
5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
And Garcia's back in the game.
Then that's the other alternative is going for it. Again, you know, that you don't want to punt this situation. I can understand that, but it would be, again, it would be a little over a 52-yard field goal.
Right.
Or it'll be about 4th and 3 or 4.
4th and 4 going for it. I guess they feel they've got to get something on the board.
And this is within their passing range. I mean, they have a lot of passes to pick up 4 yards.
Owens. He got the slant and got the first down.
And Aeneas Williams wasn't on him on that time because he was on the other side coming on a blitz. And see here, if you give Terrell Owens that kind of spread, you know, that much thing, and that's all you need is a slant, then he's going to get it. Here's Aeneas Williams, I said, who was on the other side, not only lined up on the other side, but he came on a blitz. Scott Gregg, the right tackle, saw it all the way and picked him up. But you can't give Terrell Owens that much cushion.
No. Here's Garcia again. He's going to take off again. And he gets to about the 15. He goes head first. He didn't believe in that sliding.
Well, if he had some pass protection, he had a pretty good matchup. We're talking about Terrell Owens here and how the Rams play zone. Terrell Owens ended up on London Fletcher, the middle linebacker, so he did have a height matchup. He had a speed matchup. He had every kind of matchup that you would want down here on the right side. But again, Garcia was rushed and just couldn't see that.
Second appears to be about 2. Garcia rolls right. Tight end Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson is the rookie 7th-round pick out of Yale.
Golfer at Yale.
That they really like. In fact, they saw him as a wide receiver. He caught 21 passes in 1 game. You're going to see what happens here. He's going to turn upfield, turn his head before he catches the ball. That's what we were talking to Terrell Owens about the other day. He said the first thing, even though he gets a lot of yards after catch, he said the first thing he does is not to catch the ball. And after you catch the ball, then you think about turning and running.
3rd and 2. Here's Garcia. Fake to Barlow. Garcia to the 5. Out of bounds by Archuleta.
You know, one of the things that the Rams had in their scouting report is that Jeff Garcia never bootlegs to the left. Yeah. He always goes to the right. And you can see that their defense played that. The closest guy is Adam Archuleta. He makes a heck of a play getting across there and making the tackle, because when Garcia first broke out right here, that looked like it was going to be a touchdown.
Yeah. 1st and goal at the 5.
But that's the old key breaker right there. I mean, that one broke up a lot of Rams keys.
No backs. Flag on the play.
You know, on this drive, it's been a good drive for the 49ers, and Jeff Garcia has run 4 times.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 74 offense, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Dave Fiore jumped a little early.
Steve Mariucci, head coach of the 49ers, who...
He's one of those guys who looks like he has a good time coaching.
Well, you know, he's a good guy, and he's he's a good coach, and enjoys it, and enjoys life, enjoys his family, enjoys a lot of things, and always has a big old bounce in his step, even when the 49ers record isn't what it used to be for so many years.
That would have been the 15th play of the drive, but Garcia didn't like what he saw. Bonds is homered again as we take a break. They're at the 10-yard line. 49ers after the timeout. Garcia dropped up the middle, incomplete.
In fact, he was telling us before the game down there in the field in the pregame warm-up that he thought that he would be able to catch that ball in the middle. they've had him there, and he just hasn't caught it.
Twice. And he doesn't drop that many. All the 49er players, as you can see, and the Ram players as well.
There's the empty backfield again. No one in the backfield behind Jeff Garcia. 3 receivers right, 2 left.
Garcia quarterback draw. Touchdown, 49ers.
And that's the perfect time for it. What you do is you go empty backfield. You spread out. You have 5 guys split out. And you keep, if they split out with them, then you're going to have a free middle. You see right here, they have 4 rushers. Here's London Fletcher, the middle linebacker. He's back in pass defense. And Jeff Garcia has a wide open run. You see this? They get the 4-man rush. And now there's no one in that hole because they spread the entire defense out. And he darn near walks that thing in.
A play. The extra point is good by Cortez. And it's 12-7. 4:07 left to play before the half. Flags aplenty. Started to say a minute ago, both teams have flags on the back of their helmets. Cortez to kick off. Front candidate has it bounce over his head and out of the end zone. They'll start from the 20. Well, 7.
You find 5 in the box when you go empty, you know that the quarterback can run. Now, especially if they give him a lane like this. We'll just stop it there. You see, here is a lane that he can run. He's in pass defense, so he knows he's going to get to that point. Now, he gets a block right there on London Fletcher. Then he's going to get another one right here. You see, on Aeneas Williams, that's Terrell Owens. So you look 5 in a box, you're going to run it.
This is Marshall Faulk, who cuts it all the way back to the other side. It picks up about 5, and for a game break, let's go to James Brown in Los Angeles.
All right, Pat, you and John were wondering, do you continue to pitch to Barry Bonds? Well, they are, and guess what? He smacks his 2nd home run of the day. This is number 66, and guess what? We have Bonds next week on Saturday Baseball, and they take on San Diego. Let's take it back to Pat and John.
Just got word also that Sammy Sosa has homered 3 times today. He's up to 58.
I know that I wouldn't pitch to Barry Bonds when it scores 8-1.
No. Ahmed Plummer intercepts for San Francisco.
That was a heck of a play by Plummer. He's a 2nd-year guy. They took advantage of him a little last year. But you watch, see what happens is Warner looks to his left, and then he comes back to his right. And Ahmed Plummer just drops right in front of Ricky Prohl. Watch him here. He's reading, and he gets a heck of a jump right there. And I don't know that Kurt Warner saw that all because he was looking left, and then he came back to that side. And he's saying that Prohl should have kept
running, yep.
Because, you know, Kurt Warner is a spot thrower. He throws in what he calls the window.
Meantime, the 49ers have the ball at the Ram 37. And here's Garcia. Dumps it over the middle to Beasley. Incomplete.
Well, they've dropped some on Garcia. I mean, he made a couple of bad throws himself, but they've dropped some on him. Look at this. Kurt Warner, 29th interception in the last 22 regular season games. And again, a lot of that is confidence. You know, when I used to coach Kenny Stabler, he had that. I mean, if you had, you know, it's a definition of a guy being open. The more confidence you have, if you have 2 inches on a guy, to a guy like Kurt Warner, he's open. And, you know, you have, and sometimes that confidence will bring about interceptions.
Barlow.
We were talking about the drops that Jeff Garcia had. There's one. There's another one. That one was a big one. Here's one right there trying to turn and run, and then there's Terrell Owens there, and we just had another one. So that's, you know, part of it is throwing, and the other part is catching. There's an old lineman, the most important part is pass protection. Blocking.
3rd and 3.
Oh.
Garcia.
That's the old goose play, I think.
I think it is.
Yeah, where you don't tell anyone else. I don't think the other offensive lineman knew. And again, that's if they leave you open, you just goose the center and then you go. See, and you don't tell anyone. The only guy that knows is the center. You see, the other guy, like Ray Brown, was back there. He didn't even know where he went.
It helps if you have a sensitive center.
Or if you have a middle linebacker who's not right in the middle.
49er first down. 2 minutes left in the first half. Lead the 49ers, but the 49ers chance to put more on the board.
Well, Garcia has run for half of the 49ers first downs. And a pretty good running weapon.
As time gets it to Owen. Across the 20. About the 18.
Owens didn't look like he was thinking of rack on that play, did he? It looked like he was thinking of going down. Sometimes you drop a couple and you lose a little confidence. I know he said that happened a couple years ago, that he started running before he caught the ball. And then sometimes you do something like that. He catches the ball here, and that wasn't much of a run after the catch effort. Aeneas Williams was in perfect tackling position, and I think Darrell Owens just said, there's nothing I'm going to do about that.
Tried to make himself small. Flag on the play. Intended for Eric Johnson, the tight end.
And when you play cover 2, your middle linebacker is going to have the tight end a lot. And in that case, it was London Fletcher was on Eric Johnson.
Number 58 defense.
Don Davis.
Hurt in the end zone. Ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
You see right here, you see he sees, oh, did he take a hit as he threw that one? Ooh.
Now it's from Mark Fields,
right.
The hit.
Yeah.
And that's Davis.
He's right there with him. I mean, that's the thing. When you have that cover 2, that wasn't the middle linebacker. That was Don Davis, the strong side linebacker who had a run with a tight end. And sometimes when you have a rookie tight end, you think you can do those kinds of things.
First and goal. Barlow, touchdown, 49ers. They'll take the lead.
Left tackle, you can look like he did something to his right ankle or foot there.
49ers appear to be going for 2.
See, that'll give him a 3-point lead. There's a touchdown. You spread that thing out and then you cut back. Barlow did a nice job of stretching it a little and then cutting back against the stretch.
There goes Garcia.
I think the Rams had enough of Garcia running up the middle. I think they finally said we have to tighten up our middle defense against Garcia. It was that same thing. Garcia, the last time that he read that, it was open. Remember that one that he just got the first down on? He didn't even tell his rest of his linemen. His 2 tackles were pass protecting.
Here's the touchdown, but
again, a little stretch and then the cutback right there. A good blocking by the offensive line. Not only the onside, which was the right side, but the left side, which was the back side.
Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have scores and highlights from around the league, and the Fox Sports ticker will keep you updated with up to the second stat.
Or was those penalties?
Yeah.
You know, by the wide receivers, having 4 of them. And then when you let a team stay in there, you know, they were really dominating. I mean, they really had them going. They had the 49ers going, but they let them stay in there. They let that, and then boom, they get 1 touchdown, and then they get another touchdown. And now the Rams played pretty well the first half, but they're down by a point.
Well, I've always heard it said ever since I've been around, and I'm sure you have too. Remember the Rams blew an extra point. That always comes back to home.
Always does. Anytime you see a blown extra point, it's going to sit up there on the scoreboard all day.
Cortez kickoff is a short one this time. Going to be handled by Yo Murphy. Murphy out to the 30. The Rams will take over this week on Fox Saturday Baseball. The National League pennant race heats up with Mike Piazza. And the Mets take on Chipper Jones and the Braves in a pivotal game for both teams. Oh, the Padres look to spoil Barry Bonds' run at history, although they haven't done much of it today. And the Giants chase for the playoff. All begins this week with baseball this Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. The Mets still not out of it, although they lost today. Chasing Atlanta and Philadelphia. Here's Warner. Dumps it to Fall.
Yeah, that's the first pass that Kurt Warner completed this quarter.
Huh.
He'd been 0 for 3 up in that point. Remember that last one was the interception he threw to Plummer.
Well, they haven't had the ball much.
Well, that'll let you not have many completions when
that cuts down on it.
You don't have the most important thing.
Here's Warner again. Has caught at midfield by Isaac Bruce.
Was he accurate? And the other thing that Kurt Warner, it doesn't take him long. Whatever that thing is from when you see a guy open until the ball leaves your hand, he does it as quickly as anyone.
At midfield, Ram timeout. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howe, and Chris will have scores and highlights from around the league. A lot of surprises today. The Fox Sports ticker will keep you updated with up to the second stats. All coming up at the half.
The Rams have lost their momentum, and what they have to be thinking here is they need about 20 more yards to get in field goal position. So you do that first. I mean, get in position to be able to kick a field goal, and then after that, then take a shot at the end zone.
4 wide receivers set up. The Rams still have 2 timeouts left. Warner steps up in the pocket. Batted away at the last second by Plummer again.
Big play by Ahmed Plummer. The last time we saw him, he came in and he got a good jump on the ball and he intercepted it. This time right there at the bottom of the screen, he gets a good jump on the ball, gets his left hand in there and knocks it down. I like Ahmed Plummer.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a year ago they had a start at a rookie, and I think everyone was going to pick on him and take advantage of him. And this year he's playing like an experienced NFL corner.
Warner, and the ball's locked loose, and the 49ers have it. That's Andre Carter who made the recovery, and Warner really took a hit from John Engelberger.
You know, sometimes your onside is your backside. You're going to see Kurt Warner's here. Now he's looking to his left, and here comes Engelberger there. You see, you always say a right-handed quarterback, the right side is his onside, the left side is his backside. If he's turned to the left, see when he turns left right there, his backside now becomes his right side. And that's where Engelberger came from. And then the other end, Andre Carter, the rookie, was right there, and he recovered the ball.
So the 49ers take over at the Ram 38. Garcia drops and throws up the middle to Owens, incomplete. Low, but he could have caught it.
Terrell Owens isn't having one of his better days or his all-pro days. He's the go-to guy. I mean, he's the guy that has to make these plays. You know, and every throw isn't going to be exactly where you want it, but that would, I mean, you got to catch that. I mean, that's right there. That's darn near a perfect throw. I mean, you don't want it high as you go in the middle. You don't want to get stretched out. I don't know.
I don't know either.
He just dropped it.
Derek Dees is out with a calf bruise. His place has been taken by Matt Willard, number 77. Here's Garcia to Beasley. No gain. Stopped by Dexter McLean.
You know, now the 49ers need about 10 more yards. I was saying what the Rams needed to get in field goal position. There's going to be a timeout here, and they can talk about it. But they need about 10 more yards to get in field goal position.
Both teams have one timeout remaining. St. Louis has 2. We have.
That's the thing I always thought you do when you're playing this game, especially at the end of the half or the end of the game. The first thing is you get in position to kick the field goal, and then when you have a field goal try secure, then you take your shot at the end zone. Because sometimes you can be out this far and take shots at the end zone, and all you had to do was pick up 10 yards because you can't kick a field goal from here.
So it's 3rd and 9.
It looked like the Rams were just going to run away with this thing. Then they left the 49ers hang in there, and the 49ers keep coming back at them.
Well, you look to Owens in a situation like this. But Garcia does otherwise to Terry Jackson. And that'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, see, and that won't do it because that didn't get him in that field goal range, or maybe it did. It's going to put him in that 50-yard field goal range.
Marginal. It's going to be about 50 yards or more.
It's going to be, I would call it 51 yards because you take the yard line and you add 17 to it. So they would be on the 34-yard line plus 17. The holder is back 7 yards from the line of scrimmage. And, of course, the goalpost is back 10 yards from the goal line.
Whatever wind there is appears to be with Jose Cortez at his back. There's not too much. But based on what he's done with the kickoffs, I would say he can get it this far. $52 yards, we'll call it. And the Rams use a timeout to let Cortez.
Timeout, St. Louis.
Think about it a moment.
I still think it has to be 51 yards. Maybe officially they're saying 52, but again, I can see the ball is on the 34-yard line, and 34 and 17 is 51.
Yep.
So I'm going with 51.
Oh, let's see if it's good or not. Then we worry about it.
We talked about this before when they try and do that to the kicker, and the kickers now, they don't go in the huddle. But when you were a kicker, you used to go in the huddle and talk to the guys. Here the kicker just stands off by himself. You see, here's the huddle right here, and then the kicker, he's back off doing whatever kickers do while they're not in the huddle.
Well, it really was the only time they ever talked to me.
What they used to say, kick it through, or
come on, make it. That's got enough yield, got enough leg. And that's good. Cortez. From 52, you're 51. What do you want?
I have 51. I was on the 34. It was 51 yards. They're going to give it 52. And last week, he was the special teams player of the week. 2 weeks ago.
That's the end of the first half with the score: the 49ers 16, the Rams 12. Fox NFL Sunday will continue from San Francisco after these messages. Niners 16-12. San Francisco leading. Kurt Warner moves Ernie Conwell from behind him. Takes to Marshall Faulk. Torrey Holt. Heard the footsteps, I think. Let's go to Ron Pitts.
Well, Pat, at halftime, I talked to Rams coach Mike Martz. He said the problem with us in the second quarter, way too many mental mistakes. He said we've made enough in that second quarter to last the entire year. I got to get my guys settled down for whatever reason right now. In that quarter, they were just jumpy. On the other side of the football, Jim Moore, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, he said, hey, I'm going to keep everything working just like it is. I'm not going to change a thing. I got my guys playing fast and hungry, and we're trying to make big plays. That's the key. Pat?
When you play fast and hungry, that's a good sign.
You know, and they're doing it without blitzing, too. Most of the pressure is just the four-man line.
Ball tripped up. by Jason Webster.
I think that everyone thought that Jim Mora there, who was a defensive coordinator, would kind of copy what the Philadelphia Eagles did in the first game to the Rams and blitz a lot. And Mora's not a big blitzer anyway, and the 49er defense isn't a big blitzing defense, and his feeling is that you just play. Look, there was 19 pass plays, and they only blitzed 2 times. When you play Philadelphia, it's usually just the opposite of that.
It's almost every time, every down. 3rd down, about 5. Warner back to throw, has time, gets the pass out to Isaac Bruce, but he won't have enough for the 1st down. Plummer again.
I like Plummer. I mean, when we were talking to Jim Mora the other day, he was saying that he said maybe the Rams have all these guys and they have all this speed and these great all pros. He said, but my guys don't know any better. I mean, they're supposed to beat them. They're supposed to handle them.
He said, I feel good about Ahmed Plummer.
Yeah, and I can see why he feels good about him.
Sutherland back deep. John Baker. Good punt. Chases Sutherland to the 9. Gets outside to about the 28. And so the 49ers will take over there. Fox tonight get ready to field the rush. Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker star in the box office hit that started it all. It's the world broadcast premiere of Rush Hour. Tonight at 8/7 Central right here on Fox. 1st and 10 49ers. That's Kevin Barlow. Shaking tacklers and picking up good yardage. Let's go to Ron Pitts.
Guys, quick injury report for the 49ers. Bad news for them. Garrison Hurst, running back, out for today with a concussion. As far as the offensive line, Derek Deese, he was kicked in the left quad area, left calf area. He is playing, but as you can see, he's limping a lot. Pat?
But he is playing. He's a warrior, Derek Deese.
And that's why we're seeing so much of Kevin Barlow, because of that concussion that was sustained by Garrison Hurst in the 1st half.
Garcia struggling to get back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all he got.
That's tough for a right tackle. You know, your Scott Gregg is blocking out there, and he has his man blocked pretty well, Chidi Hanatu. And then Jeff Garcia, when he takes off, he runs right to that area. Now, as a pass protector, your quarterback is behind you, so he has to help you out and keep you in position. Jeff Garcia on that last play didn't help Scott Gregg out.
3rd and 1. Terry Jackson is the running back now, or the lone back, not a runner. Pass incomplete. Stokes, that was not a drop. I think that was either a broken pattern or a bad throw.
Well, that was Dre Bly was there. You know, I've been saying this, last year and this year, the defensive backs are starting to play the slants better than the receivers are running them. And they're just running right to that point of where the slant's going to go, and that's what Dre Bly did that time.
Oz Hakeem back for Jason Baker's effort. This one's better. That's his best one. Oz Hakeem takes it, and he's dangerous. 49ers do a good job, and the Rams will take over at about the 28-yard line. 16-12, San Francisco leading. After the Rams early looked like they would take them out of the park. Action. It all begins at noon. This is Marshall Faulk.
Yeah, there's only been one receiver that's with the incomplete, and the Blues are interception. And you can see that Kurt Warner's thrown one in this area. And then most of the passes, he spread them out right and left, but most of the passes are in this area of under 15 yards. He's only completed really one ball over 15 yards and one right at the 15-yard mark.
2nd down. It's back. The fall. Warner stays to block. Flag on the play. Cheeky Okafor chased him down.
Yeah, that's a pretty good vision for a running back. The Rams are going to be called for holding on this play, but Marshall Faulk to be able to run to the right and then see what was happening back there to the left, that there was nothing back there. And then he just went right back there and got it.
Number 88, offense, 10-yard penalty.
Second hold.
That's the 5th penalty on a wide receiver, the 3rd penalty on Torrey Holt today. Yeah, he's just grabbing him right there. You see that right hand?
Yep.
He just sometimes you get it up there, and if you bring it right back off, they won't call it. But if you get it up there like that and then you hold on to it as long as he did, they're going to call that. Again, this could be an NFL record for penalties on wide receiver.
If they keep such things.
5 of them. Well, we'll just say it's a record.
Okay, it's a record.
Torrey Holt has 3.
Say it. Less than a foot.
Yeah, but a chain length and a half there. I think this is the type of thing that Kurt Warner's not a quarterback sneak runner, although this is a quarterback sneak situation. Yeah. But I think this is a time that they give this ball to Marshall Faulk.
He's deep.
Lead here and hand to Faulk. Or you hand to the guy you think's going to lead.
To Robert Holcomb.
I don't know that he made that yellow line. See that yellow line in there? He has to get to or beyond it.
The official is indicating he did.
Well, there was only a chain length, remember, or a chain and a half length. So all he has to do was just hit in there and get, right in this area somewhere. The line of scrimmage, they get a little push right there. Yeah, he made it easy. Yeah, because the Ram offensive line won that on the line of scrimmage, and they got the little push. And when you only need a few inches, that's going to get it for you.
1st and 10, Rams. Warner back to throw it. Going deep. Intended for Torrey Holt. Incomplete. Didn't quite get it there.
Well, that's what he was worried about. Remember, he told us last night, he said that if I have any problem, it's going to be with throwing the deep ball. And again, because he has a sprained thumb on his passing hand, he said that's the toughest thing, where he has to grip it.
Well, look at it.
I say it, I mean, it looks like the last shot out of a Roman candle.
Second and 10. Warner again back. Looking to throw and does, and has a man. Ricky Prohl.
Well, that's all about pass protection there, because he had the time to do that. He was trying to throw to his left, and then he came back to Prohl as like his 3rd receiver. And without pass protection, this couldn't happen. Watch Orlando Pace here. I mean, he's as good as it gets at pass protection. Watch him look left. Now he has to come back. Then he looked right, then came back to the middle. And offense is great pass protection. Defense, it's bad pass rush to let the quarterback have that many choices before he throws.
That was Ricky Prohl's 500th career reception with 4 different teams. Warner has some time. Looking and throws it back over the middle to Marshall Faulk. And Faulk is pushed out of bounds inside the 49er 30 at about the 28.
That's the thing about Marshall Faulk. He's not only a very good running back and a good receiver, but he's an awfully smart player. And I think when Kurt Warner gets in trouble, he looks for Marshall Faulk. And I think Marshall Faulk does things like this. I mean, he was way out there on the left. He sees Kurt Warner kind of come to his right, so he comes to him. He continues his cross and lets Kurt Warner find him. And I think Kurt Warner's probably looking. If you get in trouble and you need a play, the guy that will get you out of trouble a lot of the time will be Marshall Faulk.
There are certain guys like that, and he's one of them. Faulk on the reverse. This is to Torrey Holt. Holt loses yardage back to about the 30.
Holt hasn't had one of his better days, had he? with the penalties and drop passes and running a reverse and nothing being there. The Rams probably run as many reverses as anyone. I mean, they run reverses, they run screens, and they have an interesting reverse I haven't seen yet this year, but that's when they put Oz Hakeem in there, and he runs a reverse, and then he was a high school quarterback, then he runs an option off of that reverse.
Second down, this is Trung Canada. He and Falk were in the game at the same time. Not enough for the first. It'll be third and passing down.
Yeah, that's where they really put you in a bind. What they do here is they have Trung Candidate and Marshall Falk in here. Now they can give you a 3 wide receiver look with that. So what they do is they bring Marshall Falk out here, and here's 2 wide receivers. It looks like 3 wide receivers. They bring Conwell into the backfield, still have Trung Candidate there. So if you play pass, they run. If you play run, then they throw.
Third and 7. Ricky Prohl was the man in motion. That's Oz Hakeem, and Warner just laid it right in there. So many places to go.
Yeah, and Kurt Warner is one of those guys that is going to hang in there and hang in there. His offensive line, I think, kind of took control of this drive and gave him a lot of time. And then he was able to make some of these decisions and make some of these throws. And we talk about the guys you have to cover. You know about Torrey Holt, you know about Isaac Bruce, Marshall Falk. Then they bring in Oz Hakeem as the 3rd wide receiver. He's probably faster than any of them.
And then there's Ernie Conwell and Robinson.
And Ricky Prohl.
Yeah. So it's the Rams 19, the 49ers 16. Ram equipment man and confidant Don Hewitt, retired now. Vinny Sutherland, 2 yards deep in the end zone, brings it out. Sutherland almost broke something. Rich Cody knocked him out of bounds. 6:47. Mike Martz is upset, I'd say. 6:47 left in the third. Cisco, 49ers have the ball. Rams lead by field goal, 19-16. Garcia back to throw. Pressure from Wickstrom. He gets rid of that. Completes the pass to Eric Johnson.
Remember, Pat, just before that timeout, you're talking about Mike Martz, and he was upset. Watch this. Watch Anthony Party there. He's gonna come and make the clip right there. Now watch Mike Martz after he sees that. You're going to see him right here come running in. He sees that clip, and what the heck was that about? Anthony Parker came in, and he had him zeroed in, and he did clip him.
Yep.
And he clipped him right in front of Mike Martz.
And got away with it. Barlow. A lot of dancing without much music. Maybe lost a yard.
One thing that the 49ers are kind of that master of that short passing game, but sometimes to really keep that effective, you have to do some deep stuff too. You have to get the ball around. Like J.J. Stokes has only caught 1 pass for 5 yards. Ty Street has only caught 1 pass for 5 yards.
3rd and 6. Garcia. Incomplete. J.J. Stokes behind him a bit. Catch he could have made, however.
Yeah, that's one of the things. J.J. Stokes has had a leg injury, a hamstring, and really didn't practice much. When we were there Friday, it was kind of the first day he practiced, and when you don't practice, you're out there and you know the play, and you know where you're supposed to go, but you don't get in that routine, or you don't get in that rhythm. I think some of those things are a little obvious today.
Jason Baker will punt for the 49ers. Oz Hakeem, who just scored a touchdown, back deep for the Rams. There's This one is going to hang up there pretty good, and Hakeem wisely signals fair catch. So the Rams will take over at just about their own 30. Postseason unfolds right here on Fox. First 8 of baseball's best battle it out in the American and National League Division Series on both Fox and Fox Family. Then follow the drama of the ALCS and the NLCS and the World Series. All of it on Fox exclusively. Here's Warner to Falk. First down, Rams.
That's the thing that Falk does so well is just took those check throughs or check down. Look at Kurt Warner there. He's completed 15 for 24, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Marshall Falk 10 rushes, 53 yards. And then receiving, Marshall Falk has 4 receptions for 40 yards.
And the Rams have a first down at their own 40. Warner. Blitz was coming, and Warner got rid of it to Isaac Bruce.
Oh, he hung in there. Kurt Warner hung in there. There was times on that last drive where he had a little too much time. This time he has to stand in there and throw that ball. And watch him. He stands there and steps up. Yep. Just as Stubblefield was coming up, Dana Stubblefield is coming right in his face. Kurt Warner has to step right into Stubblefield to get that ball to Isaac Bruce.
That was not a blitz. That was just the front 4.
And that was the thing that the Rams were worried about, is the pressure from these 2 guys. Generally, they've controlled it pretty well today.
Yes, they have. Warner. Pass is caught by Isaac Bruce. First down.
Plummer, I think, has gotten a little, he's playing a little soft now. I think he had so much early. You see how far off he is. Early, you just felt that he was playing with a lot of confidence. Oz Hakeem beat him on that corner, and now the way he's playing offensive, he doesn't look like he has that same confidence that he had for the first 2 quarters, or the first 3 quarters.
Slipped just as he started to make his close.
Yeah, but he wasn't playing aggressively, and he was a little off. He was waiting for something to happen to him.
Here's Warner. Zips it to Falk. He knew right where he was going to be, and he hit him.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Marshall Falk is that you can look everywhere else. That's what Kurt Warner can do. He can look at his wide receivers, and he can look downfield, but he knows that if he doesn't, he always has him checking through and getting in this area here as these guys vacate. Now just watch what Marshall Falk does. You see, he'll come through, and then he just sits down right there. He just sits down, lets his zone defense go behind him, and then Kurt Warner always has that check down for Marshall Falk.
Knew exactly where he was. He gives to Falk. Across the 15 to about the 13. Hit by Zach Bronson.
That's the old trap. Tom Newton, the left guard, comes across and makes a trap at Marshall Falk, who runs right off of Newton's block. I said this earlier. I think that the Rams have so many good players and so much speed and so much talent that one of the areas that they're pretty good that doesn't get mentioned a lot is their offensive line. This guy right here, Tom Newton, just made a heck of a block.
Well, they've been together a long time, and an offensive line needs that. Falk, incomplete. Bruce, the intended target.
Plummer got his confidence back that time. He
more aggressive.
Yeah, there was a couple plays he wasn't as aggressive, but you can see him here. He's going to play this one aggressively. Isaac Bruce tries to hook right in front of him, and he comes right through him and gets that left arm, that left hand over his shoulder.
Makes it 2nd and 10. You know, the footing here is a lot better since they don't play baseball here. It's still not the best, but it's a lot better.
It's always, as the game goes on, the field is always going to get damp here.
Here's Warner to Isaac Bruce at about the 8.
The thing that I like about Isaac Bruce, I always felt that he was one of the best receivers in all of football. And we were talking to Kurt Warner about this last night, that no matter what, he hangs in there. You know, like the Philadelphia game, he doesn't catch any balls, but he keeps working, and then in overtime he catches 2, and the one big one that helps him win the game.
How about that day we were at practice in preseason? When he had to jump the fence and the fans. And
that was one of the darndest athletic moves I've ever seen. They had the fans right up there, and he caught the ball and he was going into the fans. And instead of going in or falling into the fence, he jumped right over the whole crowd.
And up the bank.
Yeah. And back about 5 minutes later. I'll tell you, he's one of those guys that works like heck, too, and really loves to work and can run all day and those types of things. And about 5 years ago in his career, that kind of hurt him a little bit.
Yeah.
He'd have those hamstring problems. He would just work himself to dehydration and then keep going and then pull a hamstring.
Said earlier that both teams have those American flags on the back of their helmets.
Kurt Warner is mad at someone on the bench there because they kept sending different personnel packages in. This is about the third one. Again, here you got an empty backfield, no one back here.
Here's Warner. Incomplete. Good defensive play. Intended for Oz Hakeem, broken up by Jason Webster.
Yeah, that's the other corner, the other second-year corner. Both those guys, Plummer and Webster, were rookies a year ago, and you see Webster here, number 36, again makes a good jump on that ball, doesn't touch him, but gets his hand and arm beyond him. Just because if you run into him, they're going to call pass interference, but he just came in here and by throwing that right hand, got the right hand in front of Oz Hakeem.
Wilkins 2 for 2 with a long one of 44 yards. This one's 25. And Wilkins is good again. The Ram lead is 22-16. It's the news show that everyone's been talking about. The best damn sports show, period. It's the new nightly show that features a comedian who's a diehard sports fan and a bunch of ex-jocks who really know the game. Yeah, comedian who knows the game.
Well, how's he know it? What did you do, watch it?
I guess. Bet on it.
Yeah. You know, this happens all the time. You know, we talk about this field and the wind.
Yep.
The ball will always go off the tee at least once every time you play a game here. If it goes off 2 times in a row, then they have to have a holder. 1 time they can re-tee it.
Vinny Sutherland will start from a yard deep in the end zone. Sacrifices his body up to the 23. San Francisco offensive leaders, Garcia, of course, rushing and passing, and Owens has caught just 3 passes, 21 yards. I don't know how many he had a chance to catch.
You know, and that Jeff Garcia running is the thing that really got these 49ers going, because they were, you know, throwing all the short passes, and having to punt, and then he got so
gets out to the 30, right up the middle, almost broke it.
And he's getting a little confidence too, you know, and you have to do that. I mean, success breeds confidence, and you have to, you know, which comes first? You have a little success and then get confident, or you have the confidence and get success? And I've always felt for rookies that they have to have success, and then the more success they have, the higher their confidence will go.
Barlow's a rookie from Pitt, 6'1" and 238. Gets another carry. Well, that'll take some of the confidence away. Archuleta.
And that's what Archuleta was drafted for. Archuleta was a linebacker at Arizona State, and they made him a strong safety, but he's still going to be better as he plays up close to the line of scrimmage. You know, like John Lynch is down there at Tampa Bay. I mean, the closer to the line of scrimmage is, the better player he is. I think Adam Archuleta is a lot like John Lynch. In fact, I think he was probably drafted to play John Lynch's position because Lovie Smith is the defensive coordinator, and I think that the things that Lynch does, they expect Archuleta to do.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score: the Rams 22, the 49ers 16. Fox NFL Sunday from San Francisco will continue after a word from your local Fox. Rams lead 22-16.
The good news for the 49ers is they're going in the direction where most of the points have been scored. There's been 38 points scored and 35 of them have been by the team going in this direction.
Well, Steve Mariucci said they did well with the wind at their back. And this is Owens, and again juggles it. That's a little behind him. Those are hard catches, but those are catches he normally makes.
Yeah, when you're paid that kind of money and you're that caliber of player, you have to make those kind of catches. It looks like it's more the height of it. I mean, if there's an area, remember as a baseball player and stuff, you know, there's an area right above your waist. Do you put your fingers together or do you put your thumbs together to catch it? You know, higher you put your thumbs together, and then lower you put your fingers together. And if you get in between, you know, it's which do you do? But that's no excuse.
High kick this time. Oz Hakeem will take it. And Oz Hakeem can go. And he almost did go.
And Jason Baker, the punter, made that tackle, right? That's one of the things that's always been embarrassing for a punt returner is anytime the punter tackles you.
Next week, Fox NFL Sunday begins with America's #1 pregame show. JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris get you ready for kickoff, and Warren Sapp and the dominating Buck defense we were just talking about, trying to stop Randy Moss and the potent Viking offense, which wasn't so potent today. That's an NFC Central showdown where the Falcons battle the Cardinals for other regional action. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. Rams at the 49er 40, and Warner, and here comes the blitz. And the pass is caught by Isaac Bruce, and Bruce steps out of a couple of tacklers, and he's going to score.
That's the thing that they can do. They get you. I mean, if you want to blitz them, then you better be able to tackle in the open field. And Isaac Bruce in the first game was a little quiet, although he made a couple of big plays. And today he's coming up real big.
He got a good block from Robinson, and he stepped out of everything else.
Well, you see here he starts, and it's just a little hook. Now, right now, you have to make a tackle there, or you have to make the tackle there, or you have to make the tackle there. I mean, they're going to catch these kinds of passes, but you have to tackle them. Part of it was a good pass protection, a nice pass by Kurt Warner, a good catch and run by Isaac Bruce, but poor tackling and poor angles by the 49er defense.
It was a good block by Jeff Robinson.
Rams going for 2 here. Empty backfield.
And there's a gap right in the middle, but Warner doesn't go. He gets it in for the 2 to Ricky Prohl.
There was a gap in the middle, but he didn't run in that gap in the middle. He threw in that gap in the middle.
So the Rams move further ahead. Off. And they'll take it at the 5.5. Wilson to the 40.
Let's watch that Isaac Bruce touchdown again, Pat, and how you can take a little pass right here and a little hook and just make a big play out of it by running after the catch. Now, again, that's a good run, but very poor angles by the 49er defense and poor tackling. And that just shows how far he runs. That, you know, that he started that thing short on the left side and ended up in the right corner of the end zone.
Well, we were talking about some of the athletic moves he's made. Here's Garcia. Drops it out to his tight end, Eric Johnson. That'll pick up of about 7.
You know, Eric Johnson, we talked about him earlier. He was a wide receiver at Yale. And Steve Mariucci said they drafted him in the 7th round, but they thought of drafting him in the 5th round. So because he was a big receiver. In fact, in one game at Yale, he caught 21 passes.
Weighs 256.
Well, because he thickened up. That was a word I had never heard before. He said he can play wide receiver, and then if he thickens up, he can be a tight end. And he's thickened up, and he's going to thicken up more.
It's a very descriptive word. Owens this time shakes some tacklers. Big, strong wide receiver.
I think he's probably very upset with himself that, you know, he really hasn't been in today's game. No. I've seen Terrell Owens play for so many years, and and I've always thought that he's a great player, but today it's like he hasn't had the concentration or whatever it is. He really hasn't been into this game.
He split wide to the right. Garcia looks in his direction. Owens. A good play by Williams. Aeneas Williams back to break it up, and he's shadowing Owens.
And here's Aeneas Williams, number 35, a great cornerback who played all those years for the Arizona Cardinals. Finally gets a chance to play with a good team here. And this is a thing that Lovie Smith decided to do. He knows that Aeneas Williams is his best corner. He knows that the Rams have had trouble with Terrell Owens, so he put Aeneas Williams on him all day.
Garcia wants some changes. He puts Owens in motion. He drops the throw. He's going to go screen, and does, to Terry Jackson. And Jackson gets close to a first down for the 49ers.
Terry Jackson's the guy that they like, and they'd like to get in the game more. He led the team in tackles on special teams last year, so he's one of those kind of guys, and and hasn't played a lot on offense, but you just watch him in practice the other day, and they're trying to get places for him, and to get places for him, you get plays for him, and we just saw one of the plays.
Another big back. He's 230 from Florida. Garcia. Barlow.
You got to get the middle linebacker block. London Fletcher is a guy. He's going to be back here, and he's just going to knife through and get penetration and get to a point right there. You see him here. You see him get to that penetration. In fact, you have blitzes against the passes. You also have blitzes against run. This is a run blitz, and it was a perfect call or a perfect read in that situation.
It's a timeout, San Francisco.
And London Fletcher played back, so you don't account for him on the line of scrimmage. So you block the lineman on the line of scrimmage, and then he hits the hole just about the time the ball is snapped. So he really was on the line of scrimmage.
That's his 10th tackle. London Fletcher had 3 cousins in our meeting last night, all of whom were taller than he.
Oh, bigger. They got all the height, and old London got the shorts.
He didn't like that.
No, he's a good player, though. He's a good player. There's Lovie Smith, who's done a great job in a very short time. He's a defensive coordinator of the Rams, and he came in there and turned this team around, this defensive team, and he made hustlers out of them. They grade every play. Bill Kohler's the other guy, the defensive line coach. They grade every play, and they grade for loafs. London Fletcher was telling us last night, this is in practice or in game. He said the worst thing you can get is a loaf.
Yep.
Mike Martz was out on the field there. He was on the 30-yard line. It looks like he wants something challenged.
Yeah.
What it is, the thing that he'd have to be challenged because they threw him for a loss is the spot. That's the only thing, because the 49ers ran the ball. London Fletcher, hit the hole. So he has to be challenged where the officials spotted the ball. This year, the referees are going to tell us before they go in there what they're looking for.
Well, he didn't do that.
Well, he hasn't gone in. Well, he didn't go in.
He just talked to somebody. I'm not sure.
Bill Levy's a referee.
Yeah.
He's a San Jose. He's from San Jose, close to here.
There will be no challenge on that play because the spot wasn't involved with the first down. St. Louis will not be charged a timeout.
Bill Levy was a policeman in San Jose and a firefighter. He's a retired firefighter.
At the same time?
No. He was a policeman first for 11 years, and then later he was a firefighter in San Jose. And then he retired, and he's been an official like 6 years in the league. But this is his first year as an NFL official.
Some retirement.
In fact, this is his first game. This is his first regular season game as an NFL official.
4th and 2. Streets goes in motion. Garcia drops the throw. Now he's looking around and running around. And he got his first down to Owens.
And Owens did a great job of coming back because Aeneas Williams was with him. And it looked like Jeff Garcia left that ball in the air a long time. Aeneas Williams is trying to get back, but he can't. Terrell Owens is trying to get back, and he does. Watch the coverage here. See, Terrell Owens just beats him back to the ball. He was going up, then he made an adjustment to come back. Your quarterback starts to scramble. You help him out by coming back to him.
Garcia and the 49ers have their first down, and Garcia goes up the middle. Incomplete, intended for Eric Johnson. He had a pack of Rams right around him.
You know, we knew that they were going to try this just watching them practice. When they got inside the red zone, they were throwing quite a bit the other day to Eric Johnson. And the thing that Jeff Garcia says that he can get open. And Jeff Garcia had another word for Eric Johnson. He said he gives you some mismatchability. Another word I never
Another
heard.
new word.
Yeah, well, Mariucci said he had to thicken up and mismatchability.
Here's Garcia. Barlow to the 10.
I think the 49ers are finding a running back in this game.
I think so too.
Yeah, Garrison Hurst, you know, was sharing time with Barlow, or the starter. Garrison Hurst got a concussion in the first half. I think it was that one that Chidi Hanatu hit him on. Remember, he caught that pass in the middle there. So Barlow, who was going to spot or play sparingly, is now taking the whole load in the second half.
Beasley and Barlow are behind Garcia. Owens comes in motion. Here's Garcia. Incomplete. Intended for Johnson again. Those of you who just joined us from the Boston area, we're in San Francisco, the 49ers and the Rams. It's 30-16. The Rams leading San Francisco, and it's 4th down and about 4 for the 49ers at the Ram 10. Jeff Garcia back to throw. Buying time. Got his first down, touchdown, Terry Jackson.
That's the thing that feet can buy you. You know, that any time that a quarterback can move around, then he can always buy more time for his receiver. You see, Jeff Garcia is moving around and doing that. That allows Terry Jackson to get open. They could allow some other guys to get open too, but you see Garcia, as he was coming out of there, he was directing traffic. He was saying, you go this way, you go that way. The guy that he found was Terry Jackson.
30-22, 30-23. Cortez extra point moves the 49ers within a touchdown. That was the second 49er touchdown. Here come the Rams back. Warner to Hakeem. Isaac Bruce on a beautiful run all the way across the field. Garcia. Terry Jackson. We're back with the Rams at the ball. 1st and 10 at their own 20. Warner to Falk.
Do that very well. You know, Kurt Warner is not a running quarterback and doesn't sprint or roll a lot, but they do about 3 or 4 bootlegs a game, and that was one of the bootlegs. And again, they're able to get flow going one way, then the quarterback goes the opposite way, and then they, you know, that play is for Marshall Faulk. That's what the 49ers were saying about Marshall Faulk. When they do something with it, when they split him out, when they fake, when they do something, they're doing it to get him the ball. I mean, Marshall Faulk is never a decoy.
They pay him too much to be a decoy. Warner to Bruce. Had it, lost it. The 49ers pick it up. And I think it's a 49er ball. I'm not sure there's a flag on the play.
Well, that was Jason Webster. The corner was running right with him.
This one, I'll bet you, is going to be reviewed. Face mask at the end of it.
That's against the Rams.
Yeah.
The 49ers have the ball. The 49er offense is going on the field. The Ram offense is going off the field.
Personal foul. Grabbing the face mask, number 45 of the passing team. The penalty reinforced from the end of the run. First down.
Apparently, there's not going to be a review.
Yeah, there could still be a review until the ball snapped.
Did he have possession?
Number 36, you see, is Jason Webster here. He has 1, 2. Oh, yeah, he has possession. See, and Webster knocked the ball out. Then the ball stays in bounds. Lance Schulters picks it up and brings it back. Yeah, that was just staying with it because Isaac Bruce did catch it. It was a great throw. Isaac Bruce does catch the ball, and Jason Webster just takes it out. And here's the penalty right there, the face mask.
Jeff Robinson.
But that was a heck of a play by Jason Webster to stay with that thing after Isaac Bruce had caught it.
Garcia brings Owens in motion all the way across the field. Fakes and rolls in that direction and gets it out to Justin Swift, who gets down close to a first down.
Look at this here, the 49er offense. Steve Mariucci said that in the first half they were lousy against the wind, very good with the wind. And look at their offense, 170 yards with the wind, 13 first downs, 20 points. When they've been against the wind, they haven't been very good, and they are with the wind in this quarter.
1 first down against the wind.
No, and all their success has been when they're going the way that they're going right now. I mean, this is a young team, this 49er team, and one of the youngest in the NFL, and they really hung in there. But they're playing a very good team. I mean, they're playing one of the better teams in the NFL, and they've hung in there with them. I mean, they've scored, the Rams score, and then the 49ers come right back and score. You know, they need a play on defense. Jason Webster gets them to play. Plummer gets an interception for them. They've hung in there for very young players. They need some running. Barlow gets it for them. And their young players are, as I say, stepping up a little today.
Barlow bangs away for a first down and more.
Matt Willig is the left tackle now. Derek Deese injured himself the first quarter. Then the first half. Then he came back and played a little more. And then Matt Willig is now in there at the left tackle, and he's doing a pretty good job. I mean, this is where they're running. Here's Willig right there, and he was right there at the right of the screen blocking against Grant Whiston.
Both the 49er tackles now are 6'8". Jackson has a flag on the play.
And that's a referee in the area he calls holding. Yeah,
yes.
That's exactly what it is. The referee protects the quarterback and watches the right side of the offensive line, the right tackle, for holding.
Illegal use of the hands to the face. Number 77 offense, 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's the guy you were just talking about.
Just talking about Matt Willig, and the referee watched that one all the way across. Matt Willig is over here on the left side. He's number 77. There's the hand to the face. See that left hand to the face? Here's a referee. He was looking right at it. Him here, he's going to be right here. He gets up there. He's okay. He's okay right there. Now you're still okay. Get it off. And he just didn't get it off quickly enough.
Fake to Jackson. Out to Eric Johnson. Didn't fool many people.
Well, you know, we talked to the Ram defense, and they were keying everything when the 49ers do that fake or that bootleg. They've bootlegged every time to the right side. Now 49ers fooled them once already, but they came back and bootlegged to the left.
30-23, 7:55 left to play now. Jackson, draw play, and Terry Jackson with an extra effort gets down to about the 15.
They found a couple of new backs.
Yeah.
Although Jackson's not a rookie, he's a third-year guy. Barlow's a rookie, but they are hard runners, and they're big, strong guys, and they're powerful. And you can see when they put their shoulders down, the piles go backward. You're like a runner, you don't want you to go backward. You want the pile, the other guys, to go backward, and you keep going forward.
He got about 5 extra yards after first contact. Jackson's, as you said, another big guy. He's about 230. Jackson stays in the game behind Garcia. 4 wide receivers. Here comes the Ram blitz. Garcia.
Well, he just threw that away. I think they have to go for a field goal here. And they're going to. You have to, because
the field goal unit.
You know, there's still plenty of time. I mean, they're down by 7 points. They need 7 points. But you could say that this is aggressive because what they're doing is they're going for the win here. In other words, you'll get a field goal here. Now you're 4 points down, and a touchdown, instead of tying the game, a touchdown is going to beat them. Saw Aeneas Williams limping off the field a little there, but he's been kind of limping off the field this whole game.
And a couple weeks ago against the Eagles. Cortez from 33 yards out. Plenty of distance and rips it through. 6:47 left. It's 30-26. The Rams over the 49ers. 30-26. Rams by 4. He's been ripping them out of the end zone. This one not as deep and is brought out by Trump candidate. Outside the 30 this fall, baseball's postseason unfolds right here on Fox. First 8 of baseball's best battling out in the American and National League Division Series on both Fox and Fox Family. Then follow the drama of the ALCS, the NLCS, and the World Series as baseball's postseason airs exclusively right here on the Fox Network. Be a part of history beginning on October the 9th. 1st and 10 Rams.
Here's where Bryant Young has to make a play for the 49er defense.
Marshall Falk. The midfield stopped finally by Lance Schulters. He obviously didn't make the play.
No, he didn't. And, you know, here's the guy that did make the play. And again, he has such great vision. You see here, he starts to the left, and he tries to draw it out there, finds a hole in there, then he sees that next layer, then the next layer. And he's making a cut on that second layer before he even gets to that first layer.
Reggie McGrew was in the game in place of Stubblefield on that gain by Falk. Pitch is back to candidate for a loss. That didn't look like a very synchronized play.
That's one of those things that as a coach looks good on Wednesday night about 12 o'clock at night.
When it's late, yeah.
They're not going to expect this. We'll put trunk candidate in there. They don't think we'll go to him, and then we'll do that. And you look at it and you say, where in the heck did I ever think of that one?
And why?
And I won't do it again. They have so many playmakers on this team that they don't have to do that with a trunk. They don't have to find something for him.
On second down, Warner drops, dumps it over the middle to Falk. And Falk gets close to a first down.
Yeah, that's the thing that we showed earlier that has to be so tough against a zone defense, because if you're playing zone, you have to get out. Now watch how Marshall Falk is going to, as these guys deepen up, he's going to come in and just go in the area that they vacate. You see, they go deep, and now he just goes and just sits right down there. Now, if you start coming up that tight and playing that in your zone, they're just going to throw the ends over your head.
Yep.
So you have to let them have that. The bad part of it is you're letting them Marshall Faulk have it.
3rd and short, about a yard. Warner's going to throw for it. Or run for it. Gets it to Marshall Faulk again. He seems to always know where he is.
Because he knows how to play football. He's a very intelligent player, and he knows that Kurt Warner's in trouble. He knows when Kurt Warner gets in trouble, he has to give him an outlet. And Kurt Warner knows when he gets in trouble, he's looking to Marshall Faulk to be his outlet.
Because he knows he'll find an open spot.
And that's exactly what, I mean, the 49ers had the defense, they had him rushed, they had everything covered, and then Marshall Faulk finds a little opening, and Kurt Warner hits him. That's why Kurt Warner was the MVP of the league 2 years ago, and Marshall Faulk was the MVP of the league last year.
Faulk again. To the 30. Zach Bronson up to make the stop. Clock running.
Well, Marshall Faulk has been in this league now for 8 years, and he said he had to learn that, you know, it's not about me. You know, it's not about how many times I carry the ball or how many passes I catch or how many Isaac Bruce does or Torrey Holder or whoever. He said you just get ready to play, and when they call your number, you play.
Bryant Young being helped off by the 49er training staff.
And Bryant Young, I think, is really hurt. I mean, he's upset.
Yeah.
There's going to be, let's watch him right here. Here's Bryant Young here. Seeing what he's complaining about. He got cut right there.
Yep.
Cut by Ryan Tucker, the right tackle, and that's
Faulk on 2nd down. They push the pile, but don't get a first. But the clock still runs. They're looking at Bryant Young.
Yeah, remember when he broke his leg here? It was on a Monday night game.
Yeah.
Remember Steve Mariucci out there in the field with him holding his hand. And when he had surgery on his leg, they had a rod put in his leg.
DY they call him, and he is a real warrior.
He's their best player and the leader of this team.
McGrew has taken his place. Fault by Bronson.
But did you see the hole on that one from that angle? You could see that one coming. You saw the Marshall Faulk coming through with a lead in front of him. And there was a hole that was about 5 yards wide. Again, you see the lead right here. Look at the size of that hole.
Yep. The pregame show is produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The senior producers, Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill.
You know, the 49ers took a timeout just before that 2-minute warning. So there's still 2 minutes and 3 seconds left. Marshall Faulk has been the whole offense here.
Here's Faulk again. To about the 11, stopped again by Zach Bronson. And now we get the 2-minute warning. 30-26 Rams. This way. And Faulk lost maybe a couple. Ahmed Plummer up.
The 49ers take another timeout. I wonder if that's an organized play, because that's the second time that we've seen that where he pitches it out to Faulk going to the right, and then he just cuts it right back to the left. And Kurt Warner has blocked both of those times.
That's what makes me think it's a planned play.
Now watch play. He's going to start here. Now Kurt Warner's going to come back here. See, and he stops, and Kurt Warner's going to make that block. That was a successful block.
Yeah.
I think, as a coach, I think that's one of those plays that you draw up on Wednesday night. I mean, to have Marshall Faulk reverse his field and be led by Kurt Warner, who has a bad thumb, I don't know that I would be thinking of that play with a clear head.
That's one of those that you draw up when you get against a defense that pursues heavily.
And you've been drinking decaffeinated coffee.
Late at night?
Yeah. You forgot to put the caffeine in. The big play here for the 40. That's a big play for both teams.
Yeah, it is. It's Falk on the trap to about the 6. And if that's where it is, that's enough for a first down.
That gives Marshall Falk over 100 yards. He's been something today. Still wearing Orlando Pace's belt. You just watch here this lead. I mean, he's the guy that's going to do it. See what they did? They brought Orlando Pace around. They brought the left tackle around, and he led him through. Look at this drive. 7 rushes, 48 yards, 2 catches for 20 yards. So on this drive, Marshall Falk has had 68 yards. Some backs in this league, that's a play. Now the Rams are just going to kneel down here the rest of this game. 49ers have no timeouts left.
30-26. Looks like it's going to be the final score.
Now the Rams are in their celebration. Yep. They've had two road games. The first one against Philadelphia.
Overtime,
and then here against the 49ers gave them everything they could take.
But this one you were pointing out a minute ago, and I agree. This one it looked like the Rams were in charge from the very beginning.
Yeah. I mean, you felt that way, but then the scoreboard would sometimes show that the score was even or the 49ers were ahead.
Yeah.
But I always had the feeling the Rams were winning this one. I think Bryant Young, we saw him come out with an injury, and it was his ankle, not the leg. In fact, it was the other leg, not the same leg that he had broken.
That last trap play that got that clutch first down was where he would have been playing. 30-26. Kurt Warner, Marshall Falk, and the Rams 30-26.